This is how a routine patrol turns into a potential international disaster in the blink of an eye. It was late November 2025. A Royal Air Force P-8A Poseidon was cruising through the gray, choppy skies of the North Atlantic on what NATO calls a routine monitoring mission. Routine, until the ship below decided it wasn't. Down on the water, the vessel being watched was the Russian intelligence ship Yantar, the kind of ship that shows up uninvited, stands too close, asks too many questions, and somehow still insists it's just sightseeing. And at some point during that shadowing, Yantar reportedly did something that turns Gray Zone into somebody's about to get hurt. The crew allegedly aimed a high-powered laser directly at the British aircraft. Not a toy laser. We're talking military-grade optical dazzlers, the kind designed to disrupt sensors and, more critically, the pilots flying a $200 million aircraft loaded with fuel and weapons. For the Russians, maybe it's a tactical nudge, a way to say, back off. For the UK and NATO, it's a red line. Because when you shine a weapon-grade beam at a cockpit in a high-stress environment, you aren't harassing anyone. You're introducing the kind of risk that can turn a monitoring mission into a crash. And a crash in the wrong place at the wrong time can become the political matchstick nobody can put out. That's why this wasn't treated like a normal intercept. And here's the part that matters for the story. London didn't answer with a strongly worded letter. It answered with architecture. Within days, the UK and Norway unveiled the Lunna House Agreement, a unified interchangeable fleet of submarine hunters designed to take the North Atlantic and turn it into a trap. So why did NATO press the button now, at this very moment? Because this isn't really about a plane. And it isn't really about a surface ship. It's about the seabed. Most people look at the ocean and see water. NATO looks at it and sees infrastructure. Because 98% of the world's international data traffic travels through undersea cables. Financial markets, military communications, the internet, everything you do that lives in the cloud actually lives in fragile glass lines lying on the ocean floor. Cut those lines and you don't just slow down Netflix. You break economies. And the North Atlantic, especially the corridor between the UK and Norway, is a jugular vein for that network. The UK government explicitly warned that Russian units are designed to pressure this undersea lifeline. Even without sabotage, the global network naturally suffers 150 to 200 faults a year. Anchors, accidents, earthquakes, all the normal stuff. Repairs happen constantly. But Russia doesn't need the ocean to break itself. Russia just needs one good moment of confusion, one crisis, one distraction, and suddenly those routine repairs stop being routine. And cables aren't the only lifeline. The same seabed holds energy pipelines that keep lights on and economies running. So that's the battlefield. Yantar is the scout. The submarines are the demolition team. And until recently, NATO's response in this region was fragmented. Different nations patrolling different patches of ocean, but that fragmentation ended on December 4th, 2025. Meet the Lunna House Agreement. This isn't a handshake. It's an industrial and tactical merge of British and Norwegian anti-submarine warfare, centered on one ship, the Type 26 frigate. The scale is real. A £10 billion deal tied directly to Type 26 production, securing 4,000 plus UK shipbuilding jobs. But the money is secondary to the geometry. Under this plan, the Royal Navy's 8 Type 26s will operate alongside at least 5 Norwegian Type 26s. That's a 13-ship wolfpack built for one job: hunt the hunters. And the key word that changes everything is interchangeable. Normally, allies show up with different radios, different supply chains, different procedures. Even when everyone is friendly, it's still a coordination tax. Lunna House is designed to erase that tax. British sailors could serve on Norwegian ships. Norwegian helicopters could refuel on British decks. Same mission, same playbook, same operating rhythm. A seamless wall of steel across the North Sea. Now we can rewind to the question that explains why a laser even enters the story. Why would Russia risk an international incident just to get a British aircraft to look away? Because the aircraft wasn't just watching. It was stripping the ocean naked. The P-8A Poseidon looks like a Boeing 737 because essentially it is. But inside it's one of the most advanced maritime surveillance platforms on Earth. It doesn't just look at the water. It builds a picture of what's moving under it. With the APY-10 multi-mission surface search radar, it can detect a periscope or a snorkel from tens of miles away in high-clutter seas. The kind of seas where everything is moving, everything is reflecting, and most sensors get confused. And it can carry 129 sonobuoys, an instant listening net dropped into the ocean to detect the faintest acoustic anomaly of a submarine trying to run silent. And if it finds something, it can carry Mk-54 torpedoes and harpoon anti-ship missiles. So when Yantar pointed a laser at that aircraft, they weren't just annoyed. They were trying to blind the eye of Sauron before it recorded something they didn't want recorded. And let's be honest about Yantar. Moscow calls it an oceanographic research vessel. Technically, it sits under the main Directorate of Deep Sea Research, GUGI. In Russian naval language, research has a habit of meaning mapping undersea infrastructure. It's like a burglar claiming he's not casing your house. He's just researching the structural integrity of your back door lock at 3 a.m. Now add the laser. The laser is the perfect gray zone tool because it's aggressive, but it still lets you hide behind ambiguity. Military lasers generally fall into two categories. High-energy killers designed to burn through drones and missiles, the ones we see the US and Israel developing, and dazzlers, lower-power optical disruptors. Dazzlers work by flooding sensors or the pilot's eyes with an intense beam of coherent light. At long range, it's a distraction. At close range, it causes temporary flash blindness. And here's the nasty part, the timing. If a pilot is performing a low-altitude maneuver, dropping a sonobuoy pattern, identifying a ship, that momentary blindness can cause spatial disorientation and a crash. Russia likes this tool because it gives them plausible deniability. If they fire a missile, it's war. If they shine a light, they can claim it was a mistake, a signaling error, or just deny it entirely. A weapon of ambiguity. But the UK Ministry of Defense wasn't buying the ambiguity. They confirmed this wasn't isolated. Over the last 2 years, there's been a 30% increase in Russian vessels engaging in this kind of threatening behavior in UK waters. So Yantar isn't the whole threat. It's the tip of the spear. So what is the Type 26? Why did the UK and Norway go all in on that specific ship? Designed by BAE Systems, the Type 26 City class is the global combat ship. And unlike modern ships that try to do everything and end up doing nothing well, the Type 26 was built with one primary obsession: silence. Submarine hunting is a game of acoustics. If your ship is noisy, the submarine hears you coming from far away and disappears. So the Type 26 is acoustically quieted to an extreme degree. Engines mounted to dampen vibration, hull design meant to minimize noise signature, and it carries the Thales 2087 towed array sonar, a long tail of listening devices dragged behind the ship, allowing it to hear beneath the thermal layers where submarines like to hide. A silent hull plus a towed array turns the ship into a predator. And that predator has options. It can engage with its own torpedoes or launch a Merlin helicopter to extend the hunt. Now zoom out again and put the whole architecture on a map. Imagine the scenario. A Russian nuclear attack submarine slips out of the Barents Sea, trying to cross the GIUK Gap, the line between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, into the open Atlantic. The goal? Sit off the US East Coast, or position to target undersea infrastructure, or just exist where NATO doesn't want it. In the old days, you might have a single frigate patrolling and the sub might slip through. Under the Lunna House framework, the ocean stops being a hiding place. It becomes a net. It begins in the cold depths with the eyes of the operation. Satellites and autonomous underwater sensors scanning for anomalies, thermal blooms, magnetic disturbances, anything that doesn't belong. Once the machine detects a ghost, the chain reaction starts. High above the waves, a P-8 launches from RAF Lossiemouth or Norway's Evans Air Station. Not to search, but to hunt. The crew seeds the ocean with a dense sonobuoy pattern, an acoustic cage. Now the submarine commander has a menu of bad choices. Go deep and slow, lose momentum, or keep moving and expose himself. Then the wolf pack arrives. British and Norwegian Type 26 frigates, integrated, coordinated, interchangeable, closing the trap. Here's the kill chain step by step. Sensor contact, P-8 launch, sonobuoy net, Type 26 closes, target fixed. And then comes the part submariners hate. One frigate goes active, blasting the water with sonar pings that strip away stealth and turn the sub's control room into noise. That pressure drives the target toward a second ship that stays silent, trailing its towed array like a spider waiting in a web. The captain is boxed. Accelerate and cavitation gives him away. Stay still and active sonar triangulates him. Rise for a periscope look and aircraft sensors are waiting. That's what Lunna House is designed to do. It doesn't just respond, it changes the ocean's geometry. It turns a permissive gray zone into a denial zone, where stealth goes to die. So yes, the laser attack was a tactical move. a desperate attempt to blind NATO's eye. But every time someone tries to blind NATO, the alliance just builds a bigger, better radar. By pushing the UK and Norway together, Russia has accidentally created the thing it fears most: a unified, standardized anti-submarine fleet controlling the gateway to the Atlantic. Because Lunna House isn't just about ships, it's geography. Norway holds the north, the UK holds the south. Together, they close the gate. Russia tried to project strength with a laser beam. Instead, it illuminated its own strategic weakness. The P-8s are still flying, the frigates are being built, and the hunt is officially on. Because in the end, you can dazzle a pilot, but you can't hide from a Type 26. Bye for now.